Ahead of the 50th anniversary of establishment of Rural Bank is ongoing, and as well it will be converting to community banking. Thank you, and stay with us.
Converted to community banking.
Yeah, there we can go.
That when institutions are built with purpose, they become powerful instruments for transforming communities and improving lives. And it is the same sense of purpose that now calls on us to look towards the future. Since last year, the Bank of Ghana, with the support of the government and key stakeholders, has been implementing comprehensive reforms across the microfinance and specialized deposit-taking institution sector, spanning rural, community banks, savings and loans, finance houses, microfinance institutions, credit unions, all the way to the SUSU institutions, and all the other last-mile providers. These reforms introduced a new institutional framework built around 4 distinct complementary categories, and they are the microfinance banks, community banks, credit unions, and the last-mile service providers. And the goal is simple. It is to ensure that the segment of our financial sector dedicated to serving the underserved and unbanked, financially excluded populations remain resilient, modernized, and responsive to the changing realities of our economy and our lifestyles, while at the same time contributing more effectively to national development. The conversation and the conversion from rural to community banking, therefore, sits at the heart of the broader reform agenda that we're pursuing together with industry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is fitting then that this transformation arrives in the sector's 50 years of existence. 50 years on, we are not simply preserving a legacy, we are advancing it. We are not merely refining it, we are widening it. This is the new chapter of community-based banking, one that will make the next 50 years even more meaningful, more inclusive, and more impactful for both rural and urban communities alike. It is our hope and expectation that today's event deepens our shared understanding of community banking and the role it can play in expanding opportunity, strengthening communities, and supporting our national development agenda. As we proceed with today's program, let us all together renew our commitment in advancing this course for community development and for generations to come. Once again, on behalf of the Governor, the Board, management and staff of the Bank of Ghana, we welcome you all. And we wish you all very purposeful deliberations and continued success as we build and uplift communities, protect the vulnerable, and unlock opportunity for all. I thank you for your attention.
Let's do it better for our second Deputy Governor. That was a beautiful, beautiful opening remark. And so to take us through this beautiful 50-year journey, we'd like to respectfully invite forward Mr. Desmond Agboga, Head of the Other Financial Institutions Supervision Department. Please, with a round of applause, let's have Mr. Desmond Agboga up here.
Thank you very much. Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, members of the Board of Directors of Bank of Ghana, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Pandit Esiama, the Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Zachary Mumuni, the Second Deputy Governor, Mrs. Matilda Asante Asiedu, Directors and Advisors of the Bank of Ghana, Your Royal Highness and Chiefs of our various communities, board and management of ARB Apex Bank, leadership of the Association of Community Banks, board chairpersons, CEOs of community banks, staff of the Bank of Ghana, distinguished guests, esteemed stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. The rural banking model in Ghana has over the years been grounded in a philosophy that deeply reflects the Ghanaian traditions of communal ownership, shared responsibility, collective participation in development. The rural banking system was introduced in 1976 by the government of Ghana in collaboration with the Bank of Ghana as a direct response to limited rural credit access, underdeveloped agricultural financing, weak local financial intermediation. The rural banking model had a specific policy objective of bridging the rural financial gap. Ladies and gentlemen, the sector has become central to rural savings mobilization, SME financing, agricultural credit, and financial intermediation. Over the years, the sector has expanded significantly with 147 institutions spread nationwide, approximately 1,000 branches, and a customer base of over 8 million and counting. To support the rural banking system, the ARB Apex Bank was established in 2001, with the primary function of liquidity management, payments and clearing, shared operational infrastructure. As part of the 2026 microfinance sector reform, all rural banks are required to convert to community banks. The reform aims to address long-standing structural gaps by introducing a new tiered financial system, strengthening governance, capital and operational standards. Ghana has, over the past 50 years, developed a distinct system of community-based banking. The system has grown in scale, reach, and significance, thus becoming one of the most extensive financial networks in Africa. On behalf of the bank, I wish all community banks a 50th anniversary. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Governor, with your kind permission, we have a brief video on the history of the rural banking in Ghana. So with your permission, we will play the video. Thank you.
Access to formal banking in Ghana. 50 years ago, access to formal banking in Ghana was largely limited to urban areas, leaving many farmers, traders, fishermen, and artisans without reliable savings and credit services. To address this challenge, a bold vision for rural banking emerged, laying the foundation for a movement that transformed financial inclusion across the country. 50 years on, we tell the remarkable story of a legacy built on community ownership, empowerment, and national development.
The rural and community banking model in Ghana is grounded in a philosophy that deeply reflects the Ghanaian tradition of communal ownership, shared responsibility, and collective participation in development. The rural banking system was introduced in 1976 by the government of Ghana in collaboration with the Bank of Ghana as a direct response to limited rural credit access, underdeveloped agricultural financing, weak local financial intermediation.
On July 9, 1976, history was made. The first rural bank in Ghana, Nyakrom Rural Bank, opened its doors at Agona Nyakrom in the Central Region. Behind this vision was the governor, Dr. Amonikoi, who had a personal interest in rural credit institutions and laid the foundation.
The government of Ghana in the 1970s realized the need to bridge the financial gap between the banked and the unbanked, and the urban and the rural community. So a delegation was sent to Philippines, and when they came, the recommendation was that a rural or a community bank should be set up. Fortunately, the man who went, Mr. Kweku Abioduncan, an official from Bank of Ghana, met our first man, Dr. Samuel Dufo, who through him was able to mobilize resources and opinion leaders and promoters of Nyakrum, and they were able to establish the first community or rural bank in Nyakrum.
Nyakrum Rural Bank was established in the presence of Omahin and the chiefs of this town. Because the chiefs were keen in getting this bank around, a chief donated his own house for residential purposes for the operation of the bank.
So during that period, the bank started operation, and we had just about 10 staff with one branch.
Me first female from Nyakrum Rural Bank. Kwanya first na yenya customers no. I at times yako market na you convince one man will be accounts.
The sole purpose of the bank was to help farmers. You know, farmers are in the rural areas. Instead of people from here, Nyakrum and surrounding, traveling to Shedru to do their savings, they saw a bank equally provides the same functions, which can provide them that facilities.
In 1993-94, Nyakrum Rural Bank was the best rural bank in Ghana. We introduced a new product called Women Development. We gave loans to the women.
Day in, day out, and every day we are no what to waba. Now we account.
A year later, a second rural bank was established at Briwa in the central region, and the model quickly gained acceptance across Ghana. Through the late 1970s and early 1980s, rural banks expanded nationwide, becoming powerful tools for community empowerment and development. By 1984, more than 100 rural banks had been established, giving many Ghanaians their first access to formal banking. Farmers obtained seasonal credit, traders grew their businesses, families saved for education, and communities funded projects that improved local livelihoods.
So in bridging the gap, I must admit that the rural banking industry has played a major role. And we have about 147 rural banks in Ghana through the establishment of Nyakrum Rural Bank.
The customer base has reached over 8 million and is still counting.
In 1985, a significant milestone in Ghana's community banking sector was achieved with the establishment of Ghana's first community bank, the La Community Bank, which was later licensed in 1987.
La Town Development Organization, after collecting donations and contributions and membership fees in trickles from the community, we decided that it would be better to have a better resource base for our fund generation.
A lot of money hanging around, not being used properly. And that if we were to embrace the idea of a community bank, our own money will work for us.
So, in 1985, we decided in La to have a bank. We approached the Bank of Ghana. We were the first wholly owned community bank. No government participation, no foreign participation, the only one. We were unique, and therefore we were called Community Bank.
To support the rural banking system, the ARB Apex Bank was established.
ARB Apex Bank primarily was established to assist the community banks, formerly rural banks, to do financial intermediation in the rural community. Hereafter, there were no banks, no universal banks in the towns and villages. Apex, through the community banks, have assisted the rural communities a lot. We've had a lot of loans that have been granted from the central bank and from other donor partners like the African Development Bank, IFAD, the World Bank, and several other social partners.
We have supported the community in diverse ways. Recently, they supported the law with furniture for our school, which is named after Justice Niabolenu.
Coming to Nyakrom Community Bank, we've been able to do our best in terms of corporate social responsibilities, in terms of job creation, and in terms of income generation. And that score, I can say that Rural Bank has played a major role, and for that matter, Nyakrom Community Bank has also played a major role in serving the community and in serving the society.
So as only a deska kotusiedro. Na sisi Rural Bank bayi ama ya hu atoyen yem bibia yen koso so wo na wutu yen hu ade woni problem yem bibia yen koso nti ya da mo asenya me hira mo
Mene Nyakrom Rural Bank ye ahyase amekọ ne Nyakrom Rural Bank menu ayi duma be 25 to 30 years ni was richer o kwa de we a wono kasaya de even me si me dan kra me ho kire me no me kwa one wo bo me ama me si me dan wie ye ansa na me tua ne nkakra kra wo amfa o hye bia anso antome so.
50 years on, Ghana has developed a distinctive system of community-based banking. The system has grown in scale, reach, and significance, becoming one of the most extensive distributed financial networks in Africa.
The transition from rural banking to community banking is both timely and forward-looking. Since the 1980s, there have been several calls to convert the sector into community banking. The term rural has long been viewed as limiting, as it does not resonate with a new generation of customers, of investors, and of young professionals.
As part of the 2026 microfinance sector reform, all rural banks are being converted to community bank.
Rural banking to community banking has been a long-standing aspect of clamor for the rural banks, now community banks.
Community Bank, we fought about this thing a long time ago with Bank of Ghana. I'm very happy that this thing has come.
I'm happy to announce that Nyakrom Rural Bank has changed its name to Nyakrom Community Bank.
We are happy to know that our bank, Nyakrom Community Bank, has actually met the requirements for the minimum capital requirements.
And meeting the capital requirement, we are now at 8.2 instead of the 5 million that BOG asked us to do. We are looking forward, going forward within the next 2 years, to hit not less than 10 million stated capital so that you can do more businesses around, expand our territory, and then make Nyakrom Community Bank one of the biggest community banks in Ghana.
At their core, community banks are banks of the people, by the people, and for the people. We want community banks that are clearly rooted in their communities and serve as effective channels through which national development reaches local communities.
As rural banks transition into community banks, we proudly commemorate 50 years of remarkable impact and service. For 5 decades, rural banks have created opportunities, expanded access to financial services, empowered individuals and businesses, and strengthened local economies across the country.
On this occasion, as we celebrate our 50th anniversary and playing the role of a pioneering community and rural bank, we want to thank, first among them is Bank of Ghana, for giving us that opportunity and then entitlement to host the first community or rural bank in Ghana. In addition, we want to thank Association of Rural Banks, ARB Apex Bank, not forgetting the customers who have had faith in Nyakrom Community Bank.
On this occasion, on behalf of the board, management and staff of ARB Apex Bank, I wish ourselves, as we are part of the community banking sector, a happy 50th anniversary.
Once again, I say happy anniversary to all of us. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Happy 50th anniversary to community banking in Ghana.
On this note, I want to wish the rural banking sector, which is now known the community banking sector, a happy 50th anniversary. I thank you.
I think this video was so compelling and insightful and deserves another resounding applause. Telling the story of rural and community banking in Ghana, 50 years indeed is no child's feat. This gathering has brought together board chairs and CEOs of each of the 147 community banks in Ghana. And we now invite remarks from our distinguished development partners and industry players. And first, I would respectfully invite up the community bank rep, Nana Dr. Apieje Dankawoso, the first outgoing board chair, Joaben Community Bank, to please come up with his remarks. Please let's welcome him with a round of applause. Another round of applause for Nana.
Just to help those who don't know how to wear their clothes. Thank you. Rural banks, now community banks, are 50 years old. Hooray! Hip, 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 hooray! I want to see your hands, community banks. 50 years on, hooray! Hooray! Hip, hip, hip! Hooray! Thank you. Dr. Johnson Esiama, who happens to be a friend and a brother, at the first board of Exim Bank. That's where you had the name, should I say it? Handsome Paddy, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Mumini Zakaria, first deputy governor, Bank of Ghana, my dear sister, Mrs. Matilda Siedu Asante, second deputy governor, Bank of Ghana, board members and management of the Bank of Ghana, our Papa of the House, the Deputy Minister of Finance, Chief Executives and Directors of Rural and Community Banks, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I said good morning. Thank you. It is a profound honor and privilege to stand before this distinguished gathering on behalf of the Association of Community Banks, ACB Ghana, as we mark a golden milestone, 50 years of rural banking in Ghana, and celebrate the historic conversion of our rural banks into community banks. Permit me first to express our profound appreciation to the Bank of Ghana for listening to the concerns and aspirations of the rural and community banking sector regarding the review of the name and identity of our institutions. The decision to convert rural banks into community banks is more than a change of name. It is a statement of the Bank of Ghana's commitment to engaging stakeholders and responding positively to constructive advocacy. We commend the bank for this landmark decision, one that better reflects the evolving role our institutions play in advancing inclusive financial services and community development. Secondly, we extend our sincere gratitude to the Bank of Ghana for introducing the concept of rural banking 50 years ago, a visionary initiative that has reshaped Ghana's financial landscape. It has carried banking to rural and underserved communities, mobilized local savings, supported agriculture, financed micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, created employment, and contributed significantly to poverty reduction and national development. The impact of rural banking across these 5 decades cannot be overstated. And for this enduring legacy, we remain profoundly grateful. Today, as we celebrate 50 years of resilience, innovation, and service, we say with one voice, Aiko, 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 to every individual and institution that has walked this remarkable journey with us. We salute the founders, the regulators, the boards of directors, the management teams and staff and shareholders, the customers, and the communities whose unwavering dedication has sustained this sector through both lean and prosperous seasons. This milestone belongs to all of us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, even as we celebrate the historic achievement, we remain mindful of the road ahead. The new regulatory environment and the rising capital requirements present real opportunities, but they also pose considerable challenges for some of our community banks. Therefore, respectfully appeal to the Bank of Ghana to continue standing with banks that may find it difficult to meet the prescribed requirements within the stipulated timelines. I think this one, Governor, you heard me. Thank you. We humbly urge the Bank of Ghana to consider extending appropriate guidance, technical support, and practical transitional arrangements, support that will enable these institutions to strengthen their operations and meet the new requirements without compromising the vital financial services they provide to their communities. Such support will help preserve financial inclusion, protect jobs, and sustain the developmental impact that community banks have delivered over the 50 years. As an association, we reaffirm our commitment to working hand in hand with the Bank of Ghana and all stakeholders to build stronger, well-capitalized, and resilient community institutions that will continue to drive local economic development and advance Ghana's vision for inclusive growth. Dr. Governor, on behalf of the Association of Community Banks Ghana, I congratulate the Bank of Ghana and every stakeholder gathered here on this golden jubilee. May the next 50 years bring even greater innovation, stronger partnerships, and lasting prosperity for our communities and our nation. Thank you, and may God bless the Association of Community Banks, the Bank of Ghana, and our beloved Republic of Ghana. I echo to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nana. Please let's applaud him again. Next up would be a rep from the Association of Community Banks, and we have Dr. Frank Boateng, the Vice President, to do us the honors. Please let's applaud him.
I would like to stand on the existing protocols so we can move forward. I stand before you today with a heart full of joy. 50 years ago, in 1976, a bold idea took root in our rural communities. Banking should not be a privilege reserved for the city, but a right extended to the farmer, the trader, the artisan, and the ordinary family in every corner of Ghana. That idea grew into what we came to know as the rural banking movement. Today, we gather here not merely to mark an anniversary, but to celebrate a rebirth, the formal transition under the Bank of Ghana's revised microfinance sector framework of our rural banks to community banks. Let me be clear about why this name change means so much to us. Rural told only half of our story. It spoke of geography, not of purpose. Community tells the whole truth about who we are, how we have become, how this institution is rooted not only in villages, but in relationships, not only in farmlands, but in fellowship, serving townships, market centers, and growing peri-urban communities alongside our traditional rural heartlands. This is not a cosmetic change. It is a joyful correction, a name that finally aligns with our mission. And what a joy this brings to our financial inclusion ecosystem. For 50 years, we have banked the unbanked. We have taken the Susu collectors' daily deposits and turned it into a child's school fees. We have taken the cocoa farmers' harvest proceeds and turned them into a roofed home. We have taken the market woman's savings and turned them into a thriving shop. Today's transition tells each one of us, those customers that we have left behind, we tell them that they were never on the periphery of Ghana's financial system. They were always at the heart, and now their banks, which is our banks, say it so plainly. Allow me to walk you through the timeline of this transformation so that all Ghanaians understand the seriousness and care with which the Bank of Ghana has guided us. Our sector story includes difficult chapters, notably the banking sector distress and cleanup from 2026 to 2019, which tested confidence but strengthened resolve. From that period emerged a renewed commitment to a sound governance, stronger capital buffers, and closer supervision by the central bank. The commitment matured into the revised microfinance sector framework, which will be unveiled, or it was unveiled this year, which formally reassigned rural banks as community banks. By the effective date of 31st March 2026, this conversion took full legal and operational effect across our entire network. What you see launched today is therefore not a hurried rebrand, but a culmination of a decade of deliberate discipline reform by our regulator, in full partnership with Apex Bank and our association. To the Bank of Ghana, I say thank you on behalf of the association executives and council for walking this journey with us. for protecting depositors, and for believing that inclusion and stability can grow together. To our 147 community banks across the country, I say, wear this name with pride. To the ordinary Ghanaian in every community we serve, I say, this bank has always been yours, and now it bears your name. The seed BOG planted in Aguna Nyakrom 50 years ago has grown into tree whose branches shelter entire communities, and we rightly call it by its name. Thank you, BOG. God bless Ghana. God bless our community banks, and God bless us all.
Indeed, that was a beautiful speech. Remarks from Dr. Frank Boating. Next up will be the rep from ARB Apex Bank, Mr. Daniel O.K. Owusu. He is the board chairman. Please, let's applaud him as he comes up to give his remarks.
The Governor, with the indulgence, I want to associate myself with the existing protocols. The marking of 50 years of rural banking is also a very good opportunity for me to associate myself with. The system has been in place for 50 years, and in my personal life, I've been associated with this concept for the past 42 years. As a banking supervisor, as BOG rep on some of the banks, as a director, and currently as the chairman of the ARB Apex Bank. And I thank those who initiated this concept that brought me into the realms of the Bank of Ghana. Thank you. The ARB Apex Bank came at a time when there was an urgent need to build confidence in the rural banking sector. Early days, the business communities were not prepared to accept the checks of RCBs, but with a careful thought of intervention by the Bank of Ghana, this ARB Apex Bank was established and became the mother of these rural banks, especially in the area of check clearing. And as of now, this system has grown and has been accepted by all the business communities and individuals in doing business with the community banks. For the ARB Apex Bank was established in 2000 and has played a very pivotal role sustaining and strengthening the community banking sector. As the Apex body, it has provided liquidity management, payment and settlement services, capacity building, technology support, monitoring, and strategic coordination for member banks. Working closely with the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance, development partners, and the Association of Rural Banks, the ARB Apex Bank has facilitated numerous interventions that have expanded outreach, improved institutional capacity, and enhanced financial inclusion across the country. Today, the community banking sector remains one of the strongest pillars of Ghana's financial system and a key driver of local socio-economic development. Through this support of the ARB Apex Bank, the rural and community banks has performed very creditably. And as of first quarter of 2026, they've been able to mobilize deposits of 22.7 billion Ghana cedis with total assets of 26.49 billion, and then outstanding loans of 7.11 billion, and holding of government securities to the tune of 12 billion. and through persistent profits, they were able to build a shareholders' funds of 2.6 billion. And the branch network has also exceeded 1,000 nationwide. The total number of customers now is over 8 billion. And this is providing very valuable banking services to all shades of people and aspects of the economy. The sector also remained financially robust, recording capital adequacy ratio of 19.7% and a non-performing loss ratio of 7.13%, comparing favorably with the industry standards. A few challenges that the Apex Bank has identified among the community banks: the adoption of IFRS and environmental, social, and governance standards requires significant investment in systems, skills, and compliance structures. Some community banks continue to face capitalization challenges arising from weak profitability and bad legacy operational issues. And I want to associate myself with Nana that in coming up with these capital levels, maybe we have to come out with certain concessions that will gradually allow the rural banks to meet these capital requirements. There's also the need to strengthen board composition and governance structures to ensure that the right balance of expertise in banking, finance, technology, risk management, and strategy. Furthermore, credit risk management, cybersecurity threats, and increasing cost of technology continue to pose challenges that require collective action by all stakeholders. For the way forward, I will simply summarize it as the community banks of the future must be digitalized, driven, professionally governed, financially supportive, and customer-centered. In conclusion, on behalf of the board and management of the ARB Apex Bank, I wish to congratulate all stakeholders on this remarkable milestone and wish the community banking sector continued success in the years ahead. Happy 50th anniversary to the community bank, and thank you for your attention. God bless us.
Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence of some very distinguished personalities who are within our midst this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a representative from the Chief Justice, His Lordship Justice Paul Bafuboni, and the representative is in the person of Her Ladyship Justice Sophia Rosetta Oduokowa Benasco Esa. I hope I got the name right. Please put your hands together for her. We also have in our midst this morning some representatives of the Bank of Ghana board here in present. We've got the Deputy Finance Minister, who's the Honorable Ampim Thomas Nyako Ampim. Please, thank you very much for joining us here. He's a member of the board of the Bank of Ghana. We've also got the Honorable Isaac Adongo. He's also a member of Parliament. Please put your hands together for him. We've also got in our midst this morning Mrs. Evelyn Na Cheche Kwitia. I hope I got the name right. Please forgive me if I murdered it. We've also got Miss Nana Ikuya Ayivo, also a member of the board of the Bank of Ghana. Thank you very much for coming. And then also we've got Mr. Joseph W. Asamoah, also with the Bank of Ghana board. Thank you very much for joining us for today's program. So very, very, very beautiful speeches and rendition performed by the choir of the Bank of Ghana, by the police band as well. Let me inform you that these beautiful wall screens that you see, for those of you seated right here by the two deputy governors, is to your left. It's actually to the left of all of you. So you see that map right there. So this is for Ghana by Ghanaians. It's owned by Ghanaians. And you can see that map right there. These are the regions and the concentration of community banks. And as you can see, some regions have a lot more concentration than others. You can see, for instance, there's one region that has just one, and I think that's the Savannah region. So there's a lot of reason why we encourage you to invest in these community banks. There's a need to invest and scale up. And so I hope that you're watching that very carefully. After this program, when we do take the photographs, there's an exhibition to the ground zero where the security is. The governor and his two deputies will be leading the entourage to go and have a look at the exhibition. I also like to inform you that this program, since it starts at 9 a.m., has been live on Joy News. We're live on Joy News, live on TV3, live on Metro as well. Yes, TV3, Joy News, Metro TV. We're also streaming live on the Bank of Ghana Facebook page as well as the YouTube page of the Bank of Ghana. So it is my privilege and honor right now to welcome to the podium the first gentleman of the Bank of Ghana. He is the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. He's going to deliver a speech on the future of community banking. Ladies and gentlemen, join me, welcome Dr. Johnson Pandit Isiama.
Hello. I cannot hear you. Hello. It's early in the morning. Before I start my address, yes, we have had quite a number of public events this year. I remember we had the Remit to Invest program in Virginia, USA. You remember that? It was intentional. We wanted to help drive remittance inflows into the country because we see those inflows as a key resource to promote investment into Ghana. And so we were intentional about that program. It was a successful program, and we were happy we engaged in that. We are following up with implementation. There's a unit that is driving it. We are coming up with a number of financial products across banks for the information of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who wants to invest back home. It is our responsibility to show them where to go. Then we also had a program on the 3 I's that was meant to drive innovation. You remember we had that because innovation impacts on the achievement of our mandate. The world is changing. Technology is redefining the way we live. And as a central bank, we must evolve. Our role has to become more effective if we take advantage of innovation. So that 3I program also achieved its aim. Then about 2 weeks ago, we had a program on sustainability and the environment in banking, because that's also key. The environment impacts on banking, and we better take note of that. Because a bank can give a loan. They can give that loan to someone to build a warehouse. And the owner of the warehouse will do good business. He will earn money. But what if that warehouse was built on a waterway? What if that warehouse results in flooding? And so banks have to be responsible, not just to give money based on the viability of the project. They must also be aware on the environmental consequences. So 2 weeks ago, we had a public event that was focused on just that. The banks were represented, the development partners were represented, government was there as well. And we are driving that effort going forward. We want to say that the environment matters to a great extent. So today we are here, it's about rural banking. Someone will say, how about your mandate? Our mandate as enshrined in our law mandates us to ensure price stability. Price stability means low inflation. Our mandate also mandates us to ensure stable exchange rates. And we've been doing just that since the beginning of last year. And then our mandate also requires us to ensure financial sector stability. We've been doing that also since the beginning of last year. But how about poverty levels in the country? Low inflation, high economic growth, so what? Is there something we can do to contribute to economic development? And so last year, that drew our attention to emphasize ways in which we can also complement the effort of government to reduce poverty in the country. Now, it is established that if we improve access to finance across the populace, that will help get some people out of poverty. And so the concept of rural banking, which seeks to bring banking to the doorstep of the common people, becomes relevant. And I am happy that 50 years ago, the man who was governor of the central bank saw this 50 years ago. He decided to embrace this idea of rural banking. Dr. Amon Nikwe, may his soul rest in peace. But permit me to also mention another man. The name is Mr. Emmanuel Asiedu Mante. Mr. Asiedu Mante was my very first boss when I joined this bank 30 years ago. He was head of the banking supervision. He was a true professional. He was so passionate about this concept of rural banking. I remember he always spoke about it. So in 2016, when I was appointed the second deputy governor, I called him to my office. And I said, sir, I need you to put together a small committee. I want you to look at this concept of rural banking. Look at the Apex Bank, this whole thing. Is there something we can do again? Because you designed the vehicle, and so you can redesign it. Can you help me? And he agreed. So he set up a small team to review the rural banking concept. And they were working. Now, I happened to leave office soon after that, and so I lost track. So last year when I got into office, I asked about where we were. And then I heard about the microfinance reforms that were underway. So I said, wow. I went and grabbed the report that Mr. Asiedu Mante and his team had left. And then I decided, I spoke to my colleagues, I said, let's drive this. And so we started. Now, why am I saying all this? I'm saying all these for us to honor a man. Bible says that he who deserves honor must be what? Must be honored. And I want to honor the memory of Mr. Asiedu Mante. He passed late last year. So may I ask you to be upstanding just for 2 seconds as we observe a minute memory, a minute silence in memory of Mr. Asiedu Mante. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you. Please resume your seats. So permit me to run quickly through my address. It is brief. Representative of the Chief Justice, Honorable Deputy Finance Minister, my own Reverend Archbishop, good to see you, board chairs and chief executive officers here present, leaders of the ARB Apex Bank. We also have the Ghana Bankers Association and the Association of Community Banks here. My colleagues, of course, first Deputy Governor and second Deputy Governor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. So in 1976, in Nyakrom, in the central region, something happened in this country, and it happened for the first time. A community opened a bank. This was not a branch of somebody else's bank, it was their own bank. And that is what we are here to mark this morning. Everything else, the 50 years, the 147 institutions today, the 8 million customers, they all grew out of that one decision in one town in the central region. The idea behind it was almost too simple to be a policy. Formal banking in this country had been built to serve a colonial administration and the merchants. These people traded with it. Independence brought us our own commercial bank and, of course, our own central bank. And in the 1960s, brought development finance for agriculture, for housing, and also for industry. Indeed, each of these was necessary, but none of them reached the village, my village. So think about this. A farmer could grow the crop that earned this country its foreign exchange and leave a day's journey from the nearest counter. Or a trader could feed a whole town and be invisible to the financial system. People saved, people borrowed, people built. They simply did it and did it without a bank because there was no appropriate bank for them to do it with. So Ghana did something about this. The Rural Banking Program, which was a partnership between the government of Ghana and the Bank of Ghana, did not propose to send a bank to those places. It proposed that those places should own one, their own. The Bank of Ghana did not merely regulate that idea, it championed it, and it put up the seed capital for many of the first institutions. The vision found its leadership in the late Governor Amon Nikwe, as well as other key personalities such as Mr. Emmanuel Asiedu Mante, who I mentioned, whose commitment to community-based banking laid the foundations that every generation since has built. Within a year of the Nyakrom Rural Bank launch, 3 more banks were licensed at Briwa, at Afosu, and at Esiama. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea worked indeed. The experiment yielded results. Rural banks taught communities to bank. They financed the farm, the citizen, and the small business. They held the savings that paid the school fees. They kept a peasant's money somewhere safe and near enough to walk to. And when the Ghana Cocoa Board, when they introduced the Equafo check scheme in the 1980s, it was the rural banks that made it possible for a cocoa farmer to hold a check and actually turn it into money. The sector then built what it needed to sustain itself. The Association of Rural Banks in the early 1980s. And in 2002, the ARB Apex Bank was created with government, the Bank of Ghana, and our development partners, which did far more than provide operational support for these. It connected these institutions to the national financial system. What began with one bank at Nyakrom is today 147 licensed institutions, about 1,000 branches, more than 8 million customers, and an asset base of approximately 26 billion Ghana cedis as at May this year. 26 billion, not million, billion Ghana cedis as at May this year. It is one of the fastest growing segments of our banking industry. And note those numbers carefully. They are not a measure of institutional success. They are a verdict on the original idea. So now let me say the thing that anniversaries sometimes avoid. Not every institution built over these 50 years survived, of course. Not every one of them was well governed. And when one failed, the loss was not recorded in a supervisory return and forgotten. It was recorded in a community, in its savings, in its confidence, and in the faith it had placed in an institution carrying its own name. That is not a blemish on this anniversary at all. It is the reason for the reforms that I am about to announce. The idea was right. The framework around it must now be strong enough to deserve it. Honorable Minister, this began as a partnership between the government of Ghana and the Bank of Ghana. It continues and will continue as one, together with your good selves. An institution can honor its history in two ways. It can keep everything exactly as it was, or it can keep its purpose and change everything else. We have chosen the latter and introduced a few key reforms. So let me take you through three of these. First is the name, Rural Bank. Ghana has changed underneath the word rural in commerce, rural. Places that were classified as rural in 1976 are today towns, commercial centers, peri-urban economies with industries and ambitions of their own. The word stopped describing them a long time ago. It struggles now to speak to a young Ghanaian, to a new entrepreneur, or to an investor who is deciding where to place capital. Community in commerce is the truer word because it describes what these institutions are for rather than where they happen to sit. It has been the truer word for some time indeed. The Bank of Ghana licensed the first community bank, the La Community Bank, in 1987, and then 10 more since then. As far back as 1995, we began considering a transition of the whole sector. But circumstances did not permit it then. Today, several decades later, it happens. The second reform, and this is the substantive one, is on the introduction of urban community banking. 50 years ago, we established rural banks because many communities were too far from the formal banking sector. Today, the challenge is different. A person may live near a bank branch and still be unable to access the financial services that they so need. Exclusion has not disappeared. It has only changed its address. For example, being near a bank is not the same as being served by one. Of course, there are households in Accra right here. Households that can see a bank tower from their front door, they can see a bank tower, but they have never had a loan from it. Mobile money, fintech, and digital services have widened access enormously, and we should say so. But access is not the same as service. And when national policy opens a financing window or eases a pressure or supports a sector, the benefit too often stops at the doors of the largest institutions. It should reach the trader, the artisan, and the small business in every community. So we are creating the room for community banks to be established wherever they are needed, rural or urban. Which is why you should not be surprised when you meet the East Legon Community Bank or the Cantonment's Community Bank, or better still, the Airport Hills Community Bank. And before anyone asks, no, East Legon is not short of bank branches. It is short of banks that will lend to the woman who trades there, right there, or the artisan, the carpenter who works right there, and of course the young business that has just opened its doors right there. Now the third reform is about the framework, and let me be plain about what the Bank of Ghana will and will not accept. Community ownership cannot mean weaker governance, not at all. Local knowledge is not a substitute for risk management, and social purpose does not excuse financial indiscipline. These institutions must be locally rooted but professionally managed, inclusive in purpose but prudent in operation, ambitious in reach, but careful with other people's money. Their credit decisions remain their own, made commercially by their own boards and boards of directors. The Bank of Ghana's part is to make certain the ground they stand on will hold. And this matters beyond the communities themselves. A financial system resting on a small number of large institutions is not necessarily a resilient one. Depth is not only about its size, it is also about spread. The reforms open the door wider as well to broaden what these institutions offer, to compete, and for the strongest among them to grow in time into something national. Existing banks are required to complete their statutory name changes, corporate rebranding, and other regulatory alignments by the end of December 2026, by the end of this year. All existing banks must complete their statutory name changes, their corporate rebranding, and of course, other regulatory alignments by the end of this year. The transition will be supported by appropriate prudential regulation and supervision, ensuring that the institutions live up to the new name, community banks. So to the community bankers in this room this morning, today we honor what you have built over the past 50 years. The responsibility now passes to you. It passes to you to prepare these institutions for the next 50 years. The values that carried this sector for 50 years, namely trust, participation, accountability, and local development. These are the values that must carry it again for the next 50 years. Everything else about your institutions is open to change. But those 4 values, let me emphasize, must not change. They are what a depositor is relying on when she hands you money. Money she cannot afford to lose. And let me emphasize, banking must reach people where they live, where they work, and where they build. May the good Lord continue to bless us all, and may He bless our homeland, Ghana. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Pandit Isiama. Please put your hands together one more time for him. So I'm going to continue acknowledging a number of our guests this morning. My colleague Ruth will come later to acknowledge some more of them. We've got the Honorable Richard Champong, his Deputy Majority Chief Whip and Board Chair of Casaman Community Bank. Please let's acknowledge him with a round of applause. We've also got the Honorable Kandapa. He's a former head of national security. He's also here with us this morning. Let's acknowledge him with a round of applause. And of course, although we haven't officially acknowledged him, I guess everybody else has acknowledged him. The Papa himself, the founder of the Action Chapel International Church, the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. Please put your hands together for him as well. I'd now like to invite to the podium the representative of the Chief Justice, His Lordship Justice Paul Bafuboni. She's in the person of her ladyship, Justice Sophia Rosetta Oduokowa Benasco Esa. Please put your hands together for her as she joins us upstage.
The Governor of the Bank of Ghana, permit me to stand on existing protocols. I'm here to read the speech of His Lordship, the Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafuboni, who would have wished to be here in person, but has been called to perform an equally important assignment. He sends his regrets. He also sends his warm greetings to the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, the Rural and Community Banking Fraternity, and all institutions whose labor has sustained this remarkable journey. He also extends congratulations of the judiciary to the pioneers, directors, managers, employees, shareholders, customers, regulators, and community leaders whose collective efforts have brought rural banking in Ghana to its 50th anniversary. I now proceed to read his speech. Good morning. It is a pleasure to join you as we commemorate 50 years of rural banking in Ghana and celebrate its evolution into community banking. As I reflected on today's occasion, one thought kept returning to me. institutions, much like people, are remembered not simply because they have existed for a long time, but because of the lives they have touched. That is why this anniversary deserves to be celebrated. I must also confess that I was particularly pleased when I noticed that this celebration marks not only 50 years of rural banking, but also its transition to community banking. I rather like the new name, not because it sounds newer or more fashionable, but because it better captures the spirit of these institutions. Rural tells us where the bank is located. Community reminds us why it exists. One speaks of geography, the other speaks of people. That, to my mind, is an important distinction. For 50 years, these institutions have quietly stood where the heartbeat of our nation is most strongest. Not always in the major commercial centers, but in our towns and communities where ordinary Ghanaians rise each morning to farm, trade, teach, fish, weave, manufacture, and build honest livelihoods. Many of them may never enter the imposing banking halls of our large commercial banks, yet they deserve the same confidence that their savings are secure, the same opportunity to access credit, the same financial dignity, and the same protection of the law. Ladies and gentlemen, the same observation may also be made about our justice system. Sometimes, when we speak about justice, our minds instinctively turn to the larger institutions, to multinational corporations, major commercial banks, and the high-value disputes that command public attention. But justice was never designed only for the powerful. Its true test is found just as much in the everyday lives of ordinary people. It is tested when a farmer seeks credit to cultivate a few acres of land, when a market woman deposits the proceeds of a day's work, when a young entrepreneur secures the first loan to expand a business, or when an elderly pensioner entrusts a lifetime of savings to the community bank that has served generations before him. If justice protects only the powerful, then it has failed its constitutional purpose. Our Constitution envisions something far better, a legal system that safeguards every person, every enterprise, and every institution, regardless of size or location. That is why today's celebration reaches beyond banking. Financial inclusion and access to justice are closer companions than we sometimes appreciate. Communities that enjoy meaningful access to financial services are better positioned to create opportunity, reduce poverty, strengthen local enterprise, and promote social stability. In that sense, community banking does far more than finance development. It quietly strengthens the very communities upon which the rule of law ultimately depends. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this anniversary, the reforms, future of community banking in Ghana, therefore comes at an important time. 50 years of history is an achievement worth celebrating. But history is never a resting place. It is an invitation to build further. The next 50 years will require institutions that are even stronger, more innovative, more transparent, and more accountable than those whose efforts we celebrate today. Good governance must remain non-negotiable. Sound regulation must continue to inspire confidence. Technology must be embraced thoughtfully, and integrity must remain the greatest asset any financial institution can possess. For money may establish a bank, but only trust can sustain one. As Chief Justice, permit me to assure you that the judiciary remains fully committed to providing a fair, efficient, and predictable legal environment within which businesses, including our community banks, can flourish. Commerce prospers where contracts are honored. Investment grows where disputes are resolved fairly and without undue delay. And confidence deepens where public institutions remain independent and faithful to the rule of law. These are not merely legal ideals. They are indispensable foundations of economic development. I congratulate the Bank of Ghana, the ARB Apex Bank, all community banks, past and present leaders, and every stakeholder whose commitment has made this remarkable journey possible. May the next 50 years be remembered not only for stronger balance sheets, but for stronger communities, not only for greater prosperity, but for greater inclusion, and above all, for preserving the trust of the Ghanaian people. For trust remains the greatest currency any financial institution can possess. I thank you for your kind attention. May God bless our community banks, and may God bless Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together one more time for Her Ladyship Justice Sophia Rosetta Odokwa Benasco Essa. And I must warn you that Justice Sophia Rosetta is a respected jurist who could put you in jail tomorrow. She was elevated to the highest bench after a long and accomplished career across the Ghanaian legal system. Prior to that, prior to her Supreme Court nomination, she served as a respected justice of the Court of Appeal. Before that, she was a High Court judge where she presided over several prominent civil, commercial, and property disputes. Please put your hands together one more time for her. So let me also remind you again that we are streaming live on the Bank of Ghana Facebook page and also on the YouTube page of the Bank of Ghana. We're live on Joy News, live on TV3, and also live on Metro TV. I'd like to go straight ahead to invite our keynote address. And to deliver that keynote address is the Honorable Thomas Nyaku Ampim. He's a member of Parliament, a member of the board of the Bank of Ghana, and also a Deputy Finance Minister. Put your hands together for him.
Thank you very much. It is a privilege to be here this morning to deliver the keynote address on behalf of Ghana's Finance Minister, Dr. Cecile Atto-Forson. He extends his warmest regards to all of you. I'm not going to say good morning because when I sat there, I observed that this gathering is not in the habit of responding to greetings. It is a privilege, and let me acknowledge the hard-working governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Pandit. I prefer Pandit to Johnson. Siama, and your deputies, Dr. Zakaria and Mrs. Esiedu Asante, the chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, and my good friend, Honorable Isaac Aduko Adongo. I was told that the name is not Adongo, it's Adongo. So you have to pronounce it well for him to know that you really know him. My fellow directors of the Bank of Ghana, our Papa, the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to join you as we commemorate 50 years of rural banking in Ghana, and even more importantly, as we inaugurate a new chapter through the transition to community banking. It is a moment to celebrate a remarkable legacy and to renew our commitment to a bigger and brighter future. This gathering invites us to reflect not only on 50 years of rural banking, but on a much longer journey in economic thinking. Exactly 250 years ago, in 1776, Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations. That work transformed the way the world thought about economic development. At its heart was a simple but enduring proposition that the wealth of a nation is created when ordinary people are empowered to produce, to trade, and to invest, supported by institutions that allow enterprise to flourish. 200 years after, in 1976, our country gave another practical expression to that principle. 50 years ago, for many farmers, traders, and artisans across rural Ghana, banking was out of reach. Savings stayed at home, credit came from informal lenders, opportunity was limited by financial exclusion. So Ghana made a bold decision. Our nation recognized that if enterprise existed in every village, every farming community, and every local market, then finance could not remain confined to our major cities. So we took banking to the people as an economic strategy, because we understood then, as we understand even more clearly today, that financial inclusion is an engine of productivity, investment, and national prosperity. 50 years later, today, that vision has exceeded expectations. Today, the sector comprises 147 licensed institutions, operating through about 1,000 branches and serving more than 8 million customers. The video we saw showed a lot of this. What I didn't see is how many people have been employed through our rural banking system. Only few sectors can claim to have transformed lives so quietly, so consistently, and so profoundly. That is the true legacy we celebrate today. We often think of roads as engines of development because they connect communities. Community banks are the local roads of our financial system. They may not always be the biggest institutions, but they reach places and people who drive the economy. From rural banking to community banking, ladies and gentlemen, the transition from rural banking to community banking is therefore far more than a change of name. It is the renewal of a vision for a changing economy. Community banking is to carry that vision into the digital age. Today, our task is to build stronger, wider, and smarter bridges. Bridges powered by technology, strengthened by sound governance, and capable of carrying the ambitions of a new generation of Ghanaians. Because where finance cannot reach, opportunity cannot grow. Fortunately, this transition to community bank comes at a time when Ghana's economic fundamentals are strengthening. Improved coordination between the Ministry of Finance and the central bank has reinforced macroeconomic stability through disciplined fiscal policy and complementary monetary policy stance. Ladies and gentlemen, government has also backed that commitment with action. In March this year, government issued a 5 billion Ghana cedis bond for the recapitalization of the Bank of Ghana. This forms the beginning of a broader phase strategy to systematically restore the Bank of Ghana's balance sheet and financial strength by 2032. And in next year's budget, we will make another allocation to further recapitalize the central bank. Our efforts aim to reinforce its institutional independence, preserve monetary policy credibility, and ensure that it remains well-positioned to deliver on its core mandate of price and financial stability. As stability entrenches in our community banks will be uniquely positioned to mobilize more savings, extend more credit, and support the growth of farmers, traders, and small businesses across Ghana. The community bank of the future must therefore be more than a lender. It must become a trusted development partner, a digital financial service provider. The future community bank must be a champion of financial literacy. It must be a catalyst for agriculture, a financier of innovation, and a cornerstone of inclusive growth. That is the future we must build together. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Finance remains fully committed to working closely with the Bank of Ghana, ARB, Apex Bank, and all stakeholders to ensure that community banks are resilient and innovative. Because when our communities prosper, Ghana prospers. As we celebrate this remarkable milestone, let us remember that anniversaries are not occasions just to honor the past. They are opportunities to define the future. The pioneers of 1976 built institutions that expanded access to finance. The responsibility of our generation is to build institutions that expand prosperity. Let this transition mark the beginning of an even more impactful era, one in which every Ghanaian, regardless of geographical location, can access the financial services needed to realize their full potential. Congratulations to everyone who has contributed to this extraordinary 50-year journey. May the next 50 years be even more transformative than the previous 50 years. May God bless our community banks, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Finance Minister. And ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to recognize the board and management who have held the fort in community and rural banking for the past 50 years. For Apex Bank, we have Daniel Oke Owusu. Please, with a round of applause as they rise to take their honors, please let's wave at them as they stand up to take their appreciation. Mr. Ernest Amate Vondi, Dr. Cletus Azabi, Mr. Isaac Owusu Jemfi, Mr. Louis Kwame Amo. Yes, let's give it up for them, please. Mr. Ben Kwachi Adefe, Dr. Seto Amediku, one of our own, Miss Felicia Abadawood, Mr. Michael Tao Ameko, Mr. Curtis W. Bentuo, Mr. Ben Kemel, Miss Francisca D. Efutu, Mr. Samuel Jima Amwaku, Mr. Kofi Owusu. Please let's applaud them. Mr. Kofi Owusu, Mr. George E. Neza, Mr. Ernest Owusu Abwaje. Wow. Mr. Gordon P.D. Derry, Mr. Edward Wiafeba. Let the applause please keep coming in. And also from the Association of Community Banks, we have Mr. Solomon Amankwa, the Executive Director. That's him. Dr. Frank Boating, we heard from him. Mrs. Rosamond Obinkwa, she here, right? We have Mr. Patrick Amano Bako. Miss Gifty Dinah Brown, if you are here, right, she's there. Also from the Credit Union Associations, Dr. Johnson Kwame Wotu. Dr. Solomon Owusunyako, That's him. Ghana Association of Microfinance Companies, we have Mr. Ejuru Tete. We have Jacqueline Commodore. Right, that's Jacqueline. For Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, we have one man, Mr. Trinibua Kodia. That's him. For GCSCA, we have Miss Esther Janwa Ajawo. Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Noy. All right, so MCAG, we have two members. We have Mr. Benjamin Texan Jr., Mr. Ebenezer Quarty, Esquire. All right, so we'd have the police band serenade us with some music. Thank you very much to the police band. As always, beautiful watching you do your thing. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, the rural banks have created several possibilities, and we arrived at a defining moment in today's celebration where we present the commemorative licenses. And to do that for us respectfully, may I invite the Governor, Dr. Johnson Esiama, upstage with the support of the First Deputy Governor, Dr. Zachary Mumuni, and the Second Deputy Governor, Mrs. Matilda Asante-Esiedu. With a round of applause, please. Thank you very much. And to support them with this we would have up here the Honorable Deputy Finance Minister, Honorable Thomas Nyako and Pim. Please, can we have you up to join them while we do the presentation? The first presentation goes to the CEO and board chair for Nyakrom Rural Bank. But before we hand over this license, our journey over the past 5 years or 5 decades has been marked by purpose and progress. And as we look to the future, we seek God's continued guidance. And so, in this light, may I respectfully invite His Eminence Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams with a round of applause, founder and general overseer of the Action Chapel International, to offer special prayers as the handing over is being done. So the prayers will be made before. Can I have a microphone?
Shall we stand, please? Shall we stand, please? The atmosphere is too tense, so let's loosen up. It's a good day, celebrating 50 years of this great achievement. It's a national milestone, and it's not something to play with, and especially the 50 years happening at the watch of our governor, his 2 deputies, the board, and this particular leadership of our country is very prophetic. It's very prophetic. 50 is jubilee. This is no joke. Prophecy is being fulfilled in all of our eyes. This is history that has been made, and another history on a new level, a new era in the womb of time for the next 50 years. And I pray that we all will have the opportunity in our lifetime to see this community bank thriving, flourishing, doing well, eradicating poverty in every community of this country and bringing prosperity to all. That the statement in the communities of our country and the proverb that the rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer will be eradicated and come to a total end by this community banking, that it will become a tool, a vessel, a vehicle, an instrument to bring prosperity to all of the citizens of this great nation. With our hands lifted up, if I may indulge you, let us sing Uyo Nyamia Utiansi Nawainzi Eda Hindi Uyo Nyamia Utiansi Ohine Onsa Krada Uyo Nyamia Utiasi Miwe Wonsa Akra. From victory on to victory. Healing to every foe is anguish, and Christ is Lord. Our Heavenly Father, we stand at this new era and next level of our community bank to give thanks for the last 50 years, how far you brought us, the progress and the prosperity it has brought across the length and breadth of our country. as we give thanks and register gratitude and appreciation. For gratitude guarantees more. Ingratitude attracts a curse, but gratitude attracts blessings. And so we give thanks and we say thank you. Thank you for how far you brought this institution with all the leadership, the stakeholders, and all involved. For the next 50 years ahead of them, we pray that the atmosphere conducive for prosperity for all will be created, that this community bank will become a game changer, a weapon of war against poverty, to eradicate and to deal with poverty to its root, the mentality of lack and want, and that every mentality that brings about insufficiency and undermines creativity and productivity through this institution will be eradicated, and that our educational sector, medical, health, community will advance through this community banking, that through prosperity for all across all board in the name of Jesus will be realized. I pray that the next 50 years of our community bank in Ghana will be better and better than the past, that their future will greatly increase, and that their future will be better and greater than their past. We pray, Heavenly Father, that you will smile upon this great institution, and that together we will always say, better together than alone, better together than alone. In our lifetime, I pray that we will see our community bank thrive, flourish, and do so well for the benefit of all citizens in every community of Ghana. In the name of your Son Jesus, let productivity be enhanced, let creativity be enhanced, and let poverty be eradicated. Let limitation break off every community of our country. Let poverty break. Let every embargo that restrict and limit our sense of productivity and creativity in the name of Jesus be annulled, as I call for an annulment by divine authority. I pray that blessings of Almighty God will flow through every community of Ghana through this community banking. In the name of Jesus Christ, that the blessing of the heavens above will be upon our community banks, that the blessings of the deep beneath shall be upon our community banks. Now we pray that you will increase and strengthen the governor, the two deputies, and all the staff and the board. Strengthen them, fortify them, grant them longevity. In the name of Jesus, prolong their life and their years as many generations. Let no one be incapacitated. Let no one die prematurely. Preserve them by land, by air, and by water, by all means. And I pray that they will finish their term on the note of victory and triumph without fail, and that it shall be well with them and all that they do and carry out for country and for the good of this nation. May Ghana thrive. May Ghana prosper. We extend our prayers to the president, the vice president, the speaker of parliament, and all that are in authority, that it shall be well with this country, and that Ghana will do well and stand tall among the flag of all nations. May our borders be saved, our airways be saved, our high seas be saved, and let no Ghanaian die prematurely by the error of any individual. Let all be held responsible, and let it be well with us as a nation. We thank you in the name of he who died, laid in the grave, and arose triumphant on the third day, Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. Amen.
For one, His Eminence, please, respectfully, His Eminence at the Archbishop, please, can you stay back a bit? We'd like to also invite, the licenses are 2, so the second presentation will go to the La Community Bank. So can we have the rep also come up? The rep for La Community Bank. Anyone to represent La Community Bank? Anyone, please be quick about it. Thank you very much. Let's applaud him as he comes. And so we would hand over the first license to our Honorable Governor. Respectfully would ask that he hands it over, presents it to the CEO and board chair of Nyakrom Rural Bank, supported by management. All right. Next would be the presentation to the La Community Bank. Please stay upstage. We still need you upstage. The next one, the second presentation is going to the La Community Bank. This is a defining moment in history, and so we'd like to congratulate them. 50 years of impact. A new chapter begins. Congratulations to the community banking sector in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud them. Please join me in celebrating this remarkable milestone with a resounding applause. This is history. Congratulations once again to the Nyakrom Now Community Bank and the La Community Bank. You may kindly take your seats, ladies and gentlemen, while they take enough photographs. And so at this point, I humbly ask that the first Deputy Governor, Dr. Zachary Mumuni, stays back to give the closing remarks. Thank you all so much. Thank you, His Eminence. Thank you all so much. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was wondering whether to say anything at all, or if there's anything to say after the very powerful prayer we had from the Papa himself. Thank you very much, Papa. The rep of the Chief Justice, Honorable Sophia, the rep of the Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Ampim, the Governor, Second Deputy Governor and Board of the Bank of Ghana, the Archbishop, His Eminence, Duncan Williams, Royal Highnesses here present, Nime, Name. I will also stand on the well-established protocol for the rest. Thank you very much. Probably I will be fortunate to have a good response to good morning. Good morning to you all. Thank you very much. I've seen that. Thank you very much. President John F. Kennedy once said, "We celebrate the past to awaken the future." As we bring today's program to a close, I believe those words aptly capture the significance of this occasion. Today, we have celebrated 50 years of rural banking in Ghana. More importantly, we have renewed our commitment to the future we are called to build.
On behalf of the board and management of the Bank of Ghana, including the staff, permit me to express our sincere appreciation for your presence, your partnership, and valuable contributions, not only to today's event, but to the rural banking sector over the years. The story of rural banking is one of Ghana's greatest innovations in financial inclusion and local financial intermediation. Indeed, Ghana remains home to one of the largest and most vibrant community banking sectors on the African continent. At 50, we can confidently say this sector has come of age. There could hardly be a more appropriate moment to undertake the transition from rural banking to community banking. This is more than a change of name, and I repeat, this is more than change of name, and as you are all witnesses, this is something that has resonated throughout all the very speeches that we have had this morning. Indeed, it is a renewal of purpose, a commitment to build on the lessons, the strengths, and achievements of the past, while preparing our institutions for the opportunities that lie ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, through these reforms, we seek to strengthen institutions, improve business models, and expand opportunities for communities across Ghana. The success of this journey has always been built on partnership. The World Bank Group, the International Monetary Fund, the African Development Bank, GIZ, and many other development partners have walked this journey with us. Through financial support, technical assistance, institutional capacity building, and of course, policy development. Your contributions have been instrumental to the growth and transformation of this sector, and we look forward to an even greater, stronger partnership in the years ahead. To our community banking fraternity, the future before us is full of opportunity. You have achieved much over the past 50 years. Today, you have been entrusted with even greater scope, greater opportunity, and a broader mandate. And remember that to whom much is given, much is expected. Go back to your communities and make them your own. Support businesses, support farmers, support young entrepreneurs, and let the impact be seen in the lives of the people you serve. For our part at the Bank of Ghana, the bank remains fully committed to providing forward-looking regulation and effective supervision to support continued growth, resilience, and sustainability of this sector. Finally, to all Ghanaians, these are your community institutions. Know your community bank, support your community bank, help make it stronger, because strong community banks build stronger communities, and stronger communities build a stronger Ghana. As we live here today, let us remember that the next 50 years will not be defined simply by the institutions that we inherit. It will indeed be defined by the institutions we strengthen, the partnerships we deepen, and the lives we transform. So, may the next 50 years be even more impactful than the first. And for the future we owe the next generation, and with gratitude, hope, and responsibility, I thank you and wish you safe travels.
Thank you very much, our first Deputy Governor, Dr. Zachary. Thank you for the charge to go back and make community banks stronger. Now, I'd like to recognize a few people from IFC and development partners for the years of partnership and support. And so we have, under that, the World Bank. We have Carlos Vicente. We have MasterCard Foundation, Angelina Minsky, Bernard Aite Ajin, and would also like to recognize reps from CAPLUS and CDC. They are Richard Obobi, Fidelis Dazi, and Babilo Mahama. Also from the Ministry of Finance, Banking and Non-Bank Department, we have Mr. Wanda Adeto and Mr. Amu. Thank you all so much for gracing this occasion. Would also like to specifically thank the board of the bank for approving this implementation and vision. Thank you for this event. Thank you so much. Would also like to acknowledge reps from the International Finance Corporation, Yewade Jiwa. If you are here, thank you for making it. Next up, would like to call on Ms. Aimee Vida-Kwashi to deliver the vote of thanks. Respectfully, please come up.
Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Your Ladyship, Justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana, Honorable Members of Parliament, His Eminence the Archbishop, members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of associations of regulated financial institutions, the Board of the Bank of Ghana, Nananom, Nime, distinguished invited guests and dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the organizers of this event, I have the privilege to propose the vote of thanks. Our profound gratitude goes to the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, Mr. Thomas Nyaku Ampim, who is representing the Honorable Minister for Finance, for responding to our invitation to grace this event with your presence. We say a big thank you. Your dedication to strengthening the Bank of Ghana and ensuring a stable financial sector is an inspiration to us. Thank you, sir. To Her Ladyship, Justice Sophia Benasco Essa, representing the Chief Justice of the Superior Court of Ghana, we appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule to join us this morning. We do not take this for granted, Your Ladyship. Thank you. His Eminence Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, thank you sincerely for your presence and for your special prayers for us. God bless you, sir. To our honorable ministers and members of Parliament, both present and past, who have decided to spend your time to attend this program, thank you for your support and your interest in the Bank of Ghana. To our eminent traditional leaders present here, Nananom and Nime, we thank you very much for attending this event. To the directors of the board of the Bank of Ghana, under the leadership of the governor, who have shown interest and enthusiasm in all matters concerning the bank, I say thank you for your presence, for your support, and for policy direction. I also want to acknowledge and thank our development partners and industry players, the Diplomatic Corps, board chairpersons, CEOs and directors of community banks, associations of various regulated financial institutions herein gathered, for honoring our invitation to come and be part of this milestone event. to management and staff of the Bank of Ghana, to heads of departments, and the organizers of this event, the ushers, the bank choir, the police band, the media, the logistics team, the security, and everyone who put in an effort. We thank you for the excellent execution of your various roles to make this event a success. Honorable distinguished invited guests, today's 50th anniversary celebration has set a clear roadmap for the community banking sector. We are confident that the community banking sector will build public trust and confidence and expand access to financial inclusion for all Ghanaians. On behalf of the Governor and the Deputy Governors of the Bank of Ghana, I thank you all for your time, your contribution, and for honoring us with your presence. May God bless Ghana, and may God bless us all. Thank you very much.
Let's give it up again for her. Thank you so much. The vote of thanks had such depth. And while we are pondering over this, we would like to share a few cues. So our gorgeous ushers will be coming to you to present you with some gift items comprising of souvenirs and snacks. So kindly remain seated after this ceremony. So I'd invite the police band while we respectfully rise. Thank you very much, Police Band. So next up, we'll have some photographies taken. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, will now proceed to the photography segment and would like to call the principal dignitaries, comprising of Her Ladyship, our respected governors, His Eminence, our Honorable Deputy Finance Minister. Please move up while we take the photographs. The principal dignitaries, give me a microphone. Please remember the exhibition, so don't leave yet. No. Kofi will handle that. So, Her Ladyship.
Hello.
No, they are taking it here. So the board of directors will be joining them. The board of directors of the Bank of Ghana, please join them. It includes the advisors, please. It includes the advisors. Can we have all dignitaries upstage? Next up would be the development partners, ARB, Apex Bank, ACB.